Being a mama of 3 littles and juggling a business is no cakewalk. I am the first person to tell you it's not easy. But these 3 planning habits, they are my secret superpower. They help me juggle and handle those inevitable curveballs. These are 3 systems that have ebbed and flowed as my life has as well. And that's why they've stood the test of time. Stick around because by the end of this video, I'm gonna hand you some actionable practical tips you can use as you build your business and manage family life. After all, that's why we're in this. We are building businesses that support the life that we want to have. Okay, let's get into it. If we've not yet met, hey, my name is Ashlyn, and I have already sent my sister a text today. It's about Christmas time as I'm filming this. A text that I said I feel like the mom in Home Alone a lot of times lately, where I'm just running around and it's crazy. There's lots of kids, there's lots of needs. I feel like I have those moments like she does. Oh my gosh, we overslept. So I'm gonna tell you something that was unbelievably impactful for me within the past few months. I went to an event, and while I was there, I got to speak with someone that I look up to a lot. She also has 3 kids, and I would say that she's extremely productive and puts out a ton of output. So I prayed, I said, God, please give me the chance to just ask this person, girl, how are you doing it? Not in those words, but you know what I mean. I got that chance, and what she said kind of surprised me. She basically said, I think you think I work more than I do. And so that's one thing that I want to make clear as well. I have gunned it at full speed. Like, I have had a business where I've had no kids and I could just put all of my time into this. But then I've taken 3 maternity leaves, and I've been in seasons where I want to hit, this was my last season. I know the revenue goals that we need to hit. For full disclosure, the business that I manage hits $1 million in revenue a year. And I have a team of 3 full-time employees at this point. I've ebbed and flowed that over the years. That's another conversation that I have lots of thoughts on. But I know that I need to maintain that, but also pour into what's most important to me, and that is my husband and my family. So when this person told me that I probably am thinking that she works more than she does, I realized I do think that. I think I sometimes uphold myself to this level of output and execution, and I think people are looking for me to get certain things done where I know the rocks that I have to get done. I'm going to talk to you about those in this video. That's all I really need to focus on. Maybe you think I work a lot, maybe you don't think I work much at all, but I learned this year about what my capacity is. I can work about 4 to 5-ish hours a day. I try to work 5 days a week. I really count on, and I'm going to dig into this when I show you my Google Calendar. I really understand that I'm probably going to get more like 4 business days a week. 5 is a bonus, but I try not to bank on that too much, because with 3 kids, it is inevitable. I have to drive up to the school for something and I miss my deep work slot for the day. Somebody gets sick. I try not to I can't plan on a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. It's just not my era. But I still value stewardship of my time so much, and I try to be as productive as possible in the hours that I do have. So I'm going to talk to you about how I do that. My first habit that I lean on is my annual marketing calendar and wall dry erase system. It's probably been about 6 to 7-ish years at this point where I've leaned on a dry erase calendar to sit beside me within eye shot of my workspace, to help me kind of mark the passage of time, yes, but also see how things are laid out. This helps me plan big launches, product campaigns, but I also am seeing when are our family vacation spots, when is spring break, when are the people out of school. Here's how it works. Every year I get an at-a-glance calendar. I used to order these from Amazon. Just search for any at-a-glance calendar. The wall laminated kind is what you want. But then I recently, last year, decided aesthetic, I want it to match my brand, or just at least be simplified and not cluttered and ugly. Aesthetics matter, right? So I made this one, and it's in our shop if you want to grab it and send it. I created this in InDesign. You can do that as well. And I send it to Office Max, get it printed, laminated, and then here's what I do next. I sit on the floor with the calendar beside me, last year's calendar there as well, and a journal, and I think through these questions. What went well this past year? What brought in the most leads? What brought in the most sales? What was a flop? What did not bring in leads or sales? What lit me up? What was so much fun? What do I want to do more of? Sometimes these are questions that I'm hashing out inside Power Sheets. I also have a wildcard set of printables that I use. We sell those in the copy bar. I try to sell all the tools that I create myself. If any of this sounds familiar and you're inside Prime to Launch, you've heard this before because I go into it a little bit more in depth, but I plan my calendar and our marketing campaigns based on, number one, what are the cash cows? What has to go in to keep the lights on. If figuring out your business finances, because that's where the marketing calendar comes from, if that's something that you've not done before, hit subscribe, because I've got a 2-part episode series where I'm talking through more of how I do our business financial planning. But I cannot do marketing planning if I don't understand what my revenue goals are and what my take home even needs to be. Okay, so back to the calendar. I've journaled through and realized what I like, what I don't like, what I want to do again, what new ideas or new initiatives I want to put in there. And I understand what keeps the lights on, what is bringing in the money. I'll figure out the sales goals specifically with that, with about a 10 to 15% increase, and I'll put them on that chalkboard. Again, I talk through that inside Prime to Launch. But I've looked at my calendar, I've pre-calendared through these, but sitting there on the floor with my dry erase markers and some journaling notes about what I want to do, I start to look at the calendar itself. And here's the next step. I'm going to slot in first holidays, family vacations, global events. All those are going to go on the calendar. I usually use a black marker for that. One big tip that I'm changing this year for 2025 is putting half days on the calendar. Any parent knows a half day is not a real work day. You can't get as much done. So I thought, why am I even upholding myself to this standard? Half days, it's a wash. Good, now I know, I can plan for it. Okay, now those days are in. So the next thing is to slot in 4 big launches. So every quarter, which on my calendar I have every quarter on its own row, I pick one big thing to promote. I block that out. I like to do about a 5, sometimes 7 to 8-ish day promo campaign. So that'll be outlined in red. And then I'll back up about 10-ish days before that. I use a dotted red line here, and that is my real pre-launch focused phase. And then I'll back up 30 days from the open cart day, and that's kind of like my blackout period. So that's my big pre-launch runway where all of our messaging, everything is focused on the thing that we're leading up to. So 3 of these, maybe 4. I say 3 because sometimes Black Friday counts as its own, and that's all the marketing I want to do in Q4. So really just the other quarters out of the year, I'll pick what we're promoting. And then here's the next step, and this is why I added a section on our calendar. You've got to consider what you're also producing at the same time you're promoting. A lot of times we plan our promo calendar and then we forget about the energy that it takes to build the thing or build the things that sell the thing. And that has to be accounted for in your time. So at the top of every month, I used to just, when I used an Amazon at-a-glance calendar, I would just Sharpie this or dry erase marker this on. I made a space on my little aesthetic calendar, so you could do that as well. But I write down at the start of a month, this is what we're promoting this month. So whether it's that big quarterly champagne campaign, the big kahuna, or if it's a smaller promo. And then here's what we're producing this month. So only one thing can fit in that slot. So producing could be something like building out a course or building out a new offer, building out the funnel for a new offer, onboarding team members, cleaning up our content systems. I can only produce one thing in a month. I can also only promote one thing a month. And that thing may be taken with a launch. Okay, that puts the big rocks in on your calendar. So now I can go back and look and see if there's a month that looks light, I could slot in a secondary or tertiary promotion there. This may look like something like an affiliate partnership that I've wanted to do, a template or a collection of templates that you want to talk up in your shop, a new line, smaller offers that you may have that need their moment in the sun. And now the physical calendar is done. I leave this on the floor in my office for a few days to make sure I like it, it feels good, it doesn't overwhelm me to look at, that I get excited. That's why I do it in dry erase, because especially when I'm slotting in launches and moving things around, I'm having to erase like crazy and scoot things and just all around kind of Tetris things together. Here's a pro tip. I usually, when it comes to goal setting, I only do for my business a quarter at a time. So I'll know what we're gonna launch in Q3, Q2, Q4, but I'm really only worried about goal setting for Q1. We got to get through these first 90 days first. So hopefully that can be a helpful lens for you to look at too. When you're slotting your campaigns, or like, don't even worry about anything that's more than 90 days out from now. Just focus on the first the first chunk to get through. The intricacies, you can get there when the quarter calls for it. All right, now I can see a quarter at a time. How do I start handling this on the day-to-day? That brings me to my next planning habit that has been so stinking helpful. The concept of blocked tiger time in my calendar. Deep work, sacred time, whatever you want to call it, focus time. I call it tiger time because I need to I need to get after it. I need to be by myself, on the hunt, and focus. Some of our members inside the Copy Bar Collective membership asked me on a call last week, they were saying, when can you teach more about your systems? Like, we love learning your systems and efficiency stuff from you. And I said, I finally feel now like I'm ready to start talking about it again, because sometimes I look back on the systems that I had in place before any kids and I think, sweet summer child Ashlyn, pats on head, if you only knew. Whereas now, I think that multiple kids has helped me see some of the systems that have, like I said at the beginning, the systems that have stood the test of times are the ones that I'm like, this one works. This one that I'm going to talk through right now, this tiger time, is one of them. So again, what I define tiger time as sacred time, deep work, this is about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour slot, but usually about an hour and a half slot where I am head down focused. I'm not interrupted. I am not checking my phone. My kids are not around. The dogs may be around, but I'm not hanging out with them really. I am focused on getting this one thing done. I have learned on a work day, I can do 2 a day before my brain is done. This coincides with what Cal Newport teaches inside his book, Deep Work. He does say that most human brains can do about 4 hours of taxing mental load work before we're a little bit tapped out. I don't know about you, I've found that to be true. I had never really, until this past summer, broken that out on my calendar to where I could see it. So now, this is what my Google Calendar looks like. I break my week into 8 slots of this deep work moments that I'm allowed to fill with tasks that need to get done. Why 8? Well, I have one day out of the week where I do calls and I'm available for synchronous communications both with my team and with our members inside the Copy Bar Collective, any partnership calls I need to be on, all that kind of stuff. So I know if nothing else, I need to have childcare and everything like good to go on that one day. That helps me because I know that one day is the day where I need to be in person talking to people, showing up as a face. I'm an introvert. The other days I can go deep and focus. I have a really hard time being a manager and a builder in the same day. I have a really hard time being introverted and extroverted in the same day. Does anybody else deal with these issues? So when I look at my calendar at the beginning of the week, which I'll tell you about in the third habit I have for you, I can flat outright see that I've got, okay, I can basically do 8 things that week. Slot them in and then hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That's why another reason I give 8. If I'm able to get some extra stuff done on the day that I hold back pocket, great. If not, no biggie. These are the time slots I'm using for creative brainstorming, writing, building a product, etc. These are the tasks that I want you to think, if you don't do these things, your business doesn't make money. Like, this is big stuff that you're slotting in. And again, 2-ish a day is what I can do. The rest of the remaining work tasks on my plate, you'll see on the calendar, that's back and forth with my team. That's checking Slack, that's checking Voxer, that's signing anything that my EA Wendy has for me to sign, reviewing stuff, back and forth with contractors, kind of the stuff that I can do either in the carpool line, sitting on the couch, eating lunch. It's it's more chill brain time, but it still has to get done. Just it's not the time where I need 0 people to interrupt me. I really try to focus so much, and my team knows, even my husband knows, like that I really need to focus during those 3.5 to 4 hour chunks out of the day, at least 4 days a week. Comment below if that's helpful. That was a major light bulb moment within this past year. I think I have adhered to the concept of a daily big 3, and that worked for a long time until it just didn't anymore, and I realized I'm more like a big 2 around here. So being able to plot it on my calendar is great. This also, one thing I'm going to try to do in 2025 is start to sync my Asana tasks with this. So whereas now I kind of just do it manually and I sit down and I think, okay, if I have these things that need to get done this week, that means here's the 2 projects each day that need to get done to move us towards those. But I want to start doing better about having them be reflected in Asana as well. Stay tuned to see if we figure that out. Okay, my number 3 secret weapon is a productivity jewel that I'm sure you've heard about before. It's the concept of a weekly review. This was first popularized by Peter Drucker, and any productivity guru would tell you that you need to do this. You do. If you don't rewind and look at the game tape and assess where you are, things just get convoluted. I notice every single time I start a week and it gets to be a Tuesday and I have not done this. I have to make myself sit down and do it. Weekly reviews are one reason I've used full focus planners. You can see them back there on my shelf. I think I have full focus planners starting in like 2017. This past year, I moved to their notebook like this for the first time, and I liked it. So binder style, and it always has a page in there at the start of every week where it is a weekly preview. Here's one right here. All the paper fall out. This is like second to my Bible. I cannot lose this, protect at all costs. Where my perfectionist at, I also like this routine because it makes me for a moment sit down, and even if I think, oh my gosh, I got nothing done last week, somebody got sick, whatever, I sit down, and if I have to start my list by writing down 3 to 5 of my biggest wins, I have a moment where I think, you know what? It wasn't all a wash. There were some things that got done, and that is good for my psyche. The next part to assess in a weekly review is how far you got on your weekly big 3. Now, while I've learned a daily big 3 is a little bit of a stretch these days, a weekly big 3 I still set. Here's what it looks like in the planner, so I will fill out before a new week. I'm assessing what works, what didn't. I also sometimes use this space to ask myself other little just brain teasers, and like, what would I do this week if I weren't afraid? What would I do if I knew I was going to fail? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Questions like that. I just kind of have fun in these little lines. It's not much. The next thing I do if I'm working through this is I reassess tasks and action items that did not get done. So I'll go back through the pages from the week previous and look at the stuff that didn't get checked off. Does that need to stay on the list? Am I letting it go? Does it need to go somewhere else? One other little pro tip, if you're juggling family life and a business, I started this years ago and I still do it. I write family tasks from the bottom up on the list, and I write business tasks from the top down. So that's just every day. I don't know, it's helpful for me to think, order new pants for Tao, and then have, send Visioncaster to Sarah at the top, and then they don't cross and they're not all jumbled up in one list. Okay, back to the weekly review. I'll also use this moment to check in and figure out what rejuvenation moments I want to have, what connection points am I going to try to make, what wellness goals do I have for myself, if any. This is one reason I'm moving this year to use Full Focus's wellness planner pages. One fun fact is I tripped and fell down the biohacking world bunny trail last year. As a busy person like you are, our energy management is everything, and so learning how I could be a better steward of that has been really fun. So I thought these pages looked great. I'm excited to play with them. During this moment too, if I've not already, I'm double checking my calendar for the upcoming week and noting what events we have, what I may need to snag a babysitter for, what birthday presents or cards I need to order, what calls I'll need to be prepared for, etc. Working mom life, I also use the pages that look like this to meal plan for the week. So I'll write down what we're planning on eating as a family on those days too. That process of a weekly review takes a chunk. It takes about 30-ish, sometimes 45 minutes. But that includes the meal planning and ordering groceries too. So you could probably get it done faster if you weren't doing all those things. But it is a fantastic moment to sit with yourself and think, how are we moving that ball down the field? That review process has made pivoting so much easier because it doesn't throw everything into chaos. I'm kind of managing the chaos as it comes, as it inevitably will. To make this habit stick, what you want to do is set aside, like I said, about 30-ish minutes on Sunday nights or first thing on Monday mornings when you get to your desk. Sometimes I used to do Sunday nights for years. Monday mornings has been more accurate the past year, and I enjoy it. It's a great way to start the week by thinking, okay, last week really went well. Here's what we need to do now. Okay, to recap, those 3 planning habits that keep me productive and sane are my annual marketing wall calendar to see the big picture. It sits right there. My computer screen is right here. It sits right there, right beside me all day long. I am understanding the passage of time. It's staring me in the face. Number 2, my weekly tiger time pockets for deep work and the understanding that I can really do about 8-ish things in a week and having those clearly outlined. And number 3, my weekly review habit to keep focused and flexible. These 3 are not just helpful for me, but they've survived the battlefield and they've stood the test of time. They are truly tried by fire and they stuck. Share in the comments what has stuck for you below. If you want your own printable wall calendar like the one I showed, or you want to check out Full Focus planners and see if they're a fit for you, both of those links are below as well. Don't leave yet. I've got a whole playlist on time management and productivity strategies. Click over here to start binging, and I'll see you in the next one.